Maine schools are constantly adapting to changing guidance during this pandemic. That includes moving from in-person learning to remote and back to in-person, a routine that's exhausting for school staff. Some districts have had to cancel classes altogether due to staffing shortages or the spread of COVID-19. After losing days in the classroom, one district is asking the state for permission to shorten its school year instead of having to make up days. News Center Maine's Sam Rogers has the story.
Everyone hoped this school year would be different.
And what we thought might be a rebound year is really a grind. Now, the pandemic hasn't subsided.
COVID-19 is causing staffing shortages, affecting transportation and teaching. It also has forced many schools to pivot to remote learning with days or even just hours notice.
I just think the model itself is very challenging. There's too many distractions at home. Home is not school. The routine is not teaching and learning.
Lewiston Superintendent Jake Langless says that's not because his teachers aren't working hard, it's the opposite. But because of current challenges facing his district, he's asked the state to waive its minimum number of required school days, which is 175.
It would allow us to set an end date for school in general.
Normally, the date shifts as schools deal with cancellations. Pre-pandemic, it was mainly for weather-related issues.
It's not like it's new for a pandemic, so there has been a procedure in place.
Maine School Board Association Executive Director Steve Bailey adds previous waivers were granted due to severe storms and flooding.
And it needs to be by school board vote. It can't just be the superintendent requesting that.
Lewiston School Committee voted unanimously to support this request. But according to the Department of Education, pandemic-related waivers have requirements. Districts must follow CDC's school safety guidelines, adhere to the set standard operating procedure for quarantining and contact tracing, and have a plan to develop educational continuity to support kids during quarantines or emergency closures. The department hopes schools adapt to a remote model rather than send these requests.
From there, it's acted upon by the commissioner based on its merits.
Langless says the district needs to make up 2 or 3 days already, and not making those days up is what his schools need.
Let's call it a year and give people that summer, give people that break.
And then prepare for the next, and hopefully less challenging, year. Sam Rogers, News Center, Maine.
Superintendent Langless adds the state officials he's worked with during the pandemic have been listeners and supporters over the last 2 years.
He says he does not know when the Department of Education will review and rule on the waiver request.